What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to Blazers Uprise Live Free Agency Edition. Today, we're going to recap Day 2 of NBA Free Agency, as you had some major moves today. And we're also going to talk about your Portland Trail Blazers and the latest in the Jerami Grant trade saga. Anfernee Simons, is there even a chance he gets dealt? We're going to talk about that. Really, nothing has developed, unfortunately. Unfortunately, on yesterday's stream, we didn't have many signings. And then this morning, when we couldn't stream, Eric, we had a bunch of chaos. Paul George signed last night at 12:30 in the morning our time. So we kind of missed the chaotic part of free agency. But we're here to recap it, and maybe we have something tonight, just in case we do have the Twitter feeds down below us. Eric, how is your Monday treating you?
Oh, it's going pretty good. Hope everyone in chat is having a good day as well. How was your day going, Tori?
It's good. It's good. It's been a chaotic day, but also, you know, I kind of relaxed today. I needed it. I needed to sit back, relax. It's physically taxing for me to stream for 7.5 hours in a row. I don't know about you, Eric, but like after last night's stream, my back was so messed up. Yeah. It's just all the leaning into the mic and sitting at the computer. So, you know, hopefully we don't have the same soreness after today. I sound so, what's the word? Like...
Old?
Yeah, old. I mean, I'm talking about how I'm physically taxed after sitting down at my computer and streaming for 7 hours in a row, man. That's some age right there. 28, pushing 40. And, yeah, it was a little rough after yesterday. But always fun to just sit down and stream for 7.5 hours. Wish it was a little bit more fun. Wish we had a little bit more action. Wish some of the action that happened this morning happened yesterday.
Well, I know I left for a few minutes and you left a couple times for a few minutes. But, I mean, if you had, like, a radio show or something, you would have commercial breaks, for an hour. So, like, you would be able to get up and walk around and stuff. So, for the most part, we were just sitting here the whole 7.5 hours talking, you know.
I wish we had like 16 sponsors so I could play 4 sponsored reads in a row every 15 minutes. That would be amazing, but unfortunately we don't have 16 sponsors. You know, maybe one day we'll be able to just use sponsors as a break. That's the only reason. Just to get away from the computer for a few minutes. But no, it's just straight live stream. Straight coverage. Shout out to Crushables for joining us last night. Eric, let's just jump into things. Let's start with maybe the most notable thing that happened today, which is Klay Thompson no longer a Golden State Warrior. He is now a Dallas Maverick. Apparently, he spurned the Lakers, and the Mavs sign and trade for him, send Josh Green to the Hornets for a couple of seconds, and send a couple of seconds Golden State's way. I don't know exactly how many seconds the Mavs traded. I just know the Warriors got a couple of seconds, and Josh Green went to Charlotte, correct?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I was a little surprised that the Warriors didn't take Josh Green, and then decided to sign Anthony Melton. But overall, yeah, I'm also kind of surprised that Klay took less money to go to Dallas. I mean, I know that there's no or less state income tax there. I don't know if it's 0 or not, but it's a lot lower than California. So obviously that probably played into it a bit, but still kind of surprising that he left money on the table. Maybe he feels like the Lakers were not anywhere near close to contention, and the Mavericks are, obviously, so...
Yeah, that's very possible. I care about the Klay Thompson for what it does to the Lakers, because I'm still sitting there hoping they get desperate enough to give up what the Blazers want for Jerami Grant. So I was happy to see the news. It was very surprising to me, but Klay is going to probably start there without any... Derrick Jones Jr. Derrick Jones Jr. goes to the Clippers. We'll see how good Klay is next year. You know, he is definitely declining. The injuries have added up with the age as of now. But he's going to be able to get some good three-point looks playing off of Kyrie and Luka. I just wonder defensively if he can be a good pairing next to those guys because he's lost a step on that end.
Yeah, I know he's lost a step, but I think the spacing he'll provide on offense will be worth it. He still shot well from three last year. It's down for his standards, but in terms of the NBA average, when you shoot, I think he shot like 9 attempts a game and still shot in the upper 30 percentile. So
Yeah.
I think that's more than enough to create a lot of space for Luka and Kyrie, and you won't be able to pay Clay much attention in those lineups. So I think offensively it'll work, and defensively, you got those two centers back there protecting the rim. That'll help him a little bit. Draymond has slowed down a little bit. Looney has slowed down a little bit. So it didn't really have a lot of rim protection last year on Golden State. So I think it'll. I'm not going to say he's going to get better than he was on defense, because he's probably not ever going to move like he used to. But I think if there was one situation for him that he could kind of rehab his image and kind of have a rebirth at this point of his career, I think this is a really good situation for him.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll touch upon how this hurts the Lakers in a second and how that might factor into your Blazers. But other signings today, Isaiah Hartenstein gets 3 years, $87 million from the Oklahoma City Thunder. I mean, that's just a great fit, great pickup for him. Do you think it's an overpay, though?
Yeah, it's obviously an overpay, but that's the only way you were getting him to leave New York. I think you had to. And you also had I think the Magic were going to be in play for him. They could have, I think they were somewhere in the 20 million range, still above or below the cap. So you had to kind of get to a point that the Magic couldn't compete either. So I think it's a bit of an overpay, but I think it was necessary. And if you're the Thunder, you're the 1 seed, and you add Caruso and Isaiah Hartenstein, 2 of the better defenders in the NBA last year, without giving up any rotation players other than Josh Giddey, who some could argue shouldn't have been a rotation player for them in the playoffs and towards the end of the season. And then they have the luxury of just drafting Nikola Topic just as a luxury to have maybe develop and play. So, I don't know. And they still have all their future draft picks. It's kind of disgusting.
Yeah.
If the Spurs make smart moves too, how are we going to compete with those two teams, even if we do rebuild, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's been that sentiment with a couple of teams in the past, and they just haven't been able to become dynasties. It's really hard to build a dynasty in the NBA. So with this new CBA, that's kind of the hope is, those teams are probably going to win championships, maybe plural, but it's hard to build a dynasty nowadays. And if the Blazers can get Cooper Flagg, he might be better. He might be a top 5 player one day. He might be a best player in the league one day. I think it's hard to beat Wemby out, but if you can get a top 5 player, and if other pieces can pan out, at least you have a fighting chance. And I think that's why it's important for the Blazers to embrace struggling once again this year, because they could get their future star, hopefully Cooper Flagg. That's the number 1 pick in next year's draft. So, not to start the tank talk too early, but it is why it's a benefit to trade some of the veterans too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other signings.
I just real quick. I thought that was a home run signing. If I was the Thunder, that's exactly what I would have done this offseason.
Yeah.
You had cap space. You had a limited time to use it before you have to start paying players down the road. Why not add one of the better defending centers next to an already good defending center? You have good defense all up and down your roster. And the thing is, they've added all these pieces. Like maybe you could argue Lou Dort, but most of their players are good on both sides of the ball, and they're like just because they're a defensive player doesn't mean they're not limited offensively. So that's going to be really tough to compete with when you have a 7 or 8 man rotation that's good on. They're all like two-way players.
Yeah, 100%. Jalen Smith gets 3 years, $27 million from the Bulls.
The Bulls made a good signing. What?
Yeah, that's about crazy. The only good thing that they're capable of doing right now. They're probably going to lose DeRozan for nothing. Maybe it's a sign and trade if they're lucky. And that's pretty much all the big signings today. Mo Bamba goes to the Clippers. Nick Batum goes back to the Clippers. Kind of funny. Who else am I missing here? Chris Dunn goes to the Clippers. The Suns still haven't filled their point guard spot with a point guard. Maybe Mason Plumlee plays point guard, Eric. I don't know what the hell their plan is. Any other noteworthy things today that you wanted to talk about?
Well, Lakers are interested in DeRozan, apparently. But it also, there was some rumors, I forgot where this was from, but a couple of hours ago, there was some stuff that LeBron is not happy with the Lakers' unwillingness to go to make moves right now.
Yeah, which is interesting. It was funny because I was listening to Rip City Radio 620 on the way home, and Dwight Jaynes was talking about how, the Lakers shouldn't offer him a max. The Lakers should just offer him less because his son's there and he's not going to leave his son. The Lakers have all the leverage because they drafted his son. And Chad Dewey was basically saying that was ludicrous, which I agree with. Like, how are you going to do that with Rich Paul? Clutch Sports is just silly, especially considering LeBron opted out of $51 million in his player option. So it was interesting to see that report right after hearing that conversation. Do you think that's something that means anything, or do you think it's simply like LeBron's still going to go back, Bronny's there, or could this turn into just a complete situation? I don't know. I don't know how much to read into a report like that. What do you think?
Well, I think it's true because there's been this rumor of LeBron's always wanting them to trade their future picks for players at every deadline, every offseason, and there's been some pushback from the Lakers. But LeBron has gotten the coach he wanted. Obviously, throughout his career, he's gotten several coaches fired and hired and all that kind of stuff. He's dictated personnel moves at times. He got his son, who a lot of people don't think is even an NBA player, drafted by the team. So what I want to know is what's stopping him from going above Pelinka and just saying it's either him or me that has to go, and just telling them to fire Pelinka. Like, would they not do that for him?
Yeah, would Pelinka not fold in that scenario as well?
Right.
It's
I
interesting.
don't think Pelinka wants to get fired either. Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead.
I wonder if he would do that or not. Because I don't think he wants to leave the Lakers, obviously, but I also wouldn't tempt it too much because some of these guys, like Clay, this happened to Clay. He got offered way more money to stay in Golden State, but he saw that as a slight,
Yeah.
And so then he takes less money to go to another team just despite them.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's some of these athletes, man. If they feel slighted, man, they'll do something. Now I don't think he'll leave LA, but I do think that Pelinka is going to be the one that ultimately folds, and I don't think it would be the case necessarily if Pelinka hadn't done this twice in a row now. Last offseason, they make the Western Conference Finals. They do absolutely nothing last summer. They draft Jalen Hood-Schifino. They do a couple of really mediocre signings like Cam Reddish and Jackson Hayes and like Torian Prince was okay, but like those guys weren't any sort of difference makers or anything. So they basically run the same team back from their Western Conference Finals. It obviously is not working. They win the in-season tournament, but that's about all they did, right? They weren't good at the trade deadline. There was speculation the entire season that D'Lo was going to get traded, and then they decided to keep him at the deadline and do nothing. Get first round exit. So I don't see how Pelinka can just be like, okay, we're going to draft Dalton Connect and run the same team back. Like, Connect should make them better. But, like, I don't understand from his perspective, like, what it was the point of even, like, why would you want to keep LeBron and Anthony Davis and stuff if you're not going to go all in to try and go for one last run with them?
Yeah, basically all I'm thinking when I hear all this is hopefully this plays out in the Blazers' favor. Hopefully this plays out where they have to do something, so it's Jerami Grant, maybe Jerami Grant and DeRozan. I think there's pathways where the Lakers could get both, and then you got a starting lineup of like point forward LeBron, Austin Reeves, DeRozan, who can also handle the ball some, Jerami Grant, and Anthony Davis. I mean, that would at least be an intriguing lineup. I think defensively it has some issues. And then you got D'Angelo Russell off the bench. Maybe they keep him in that situation. Probably him or Rui. I think there's a path to do that and stay below the hard cap of the first apron while giving LeBron his max. It's very, very tight. But you got to hope that things turn in the Blazers' favor, because if Pelinka has to save his job, if LeBron's putting pressure on him internally, then you're talking about maybe the Blazers can get those 2 future first-round picks off the Lakers, or maybe they can get Dalton Connect off the Lakers. Because I think at this point, if there's no pressure on Pelinka, I don't think he's trading 2 future firsts for Jerami Grant. I just don't think he wants to sell the future. But if he's not going to be there in 5 years, if he's not going to be there next year, you know what I mean? Like, who cares about future firsts? Your job is to get that team to contention somehow, make that team as good as possible right now, because you got LeBron. LeBron probably wants to win a championship with his son. So what trade targets are out there? Brandon Ingram's still a Pelican. Apparently they're going to try and sort things out now that they got DeJounte Murray. Ultimately, Jerami Grant might be the best trade target on the market. So that's the dream. That's the hope. I would be really bummed if Jerami Grant is in a Blazer uniform next year. Now, I don't know if I'd necessarily blame Joe Cronin at all, because ultimately you have to hold out for those 2 first-round picks. And if you don't, like, you kind of got to bring them back, right, Eric? I mean, if LA is not offering 2 firsts, he's kind of stuck between 2 suboptimal options, which is keep Jerami Grant or get back less value in a trade for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the latest I've heard, once again, take this with a grain of salt. I'm not trying to be an insider, but I was told that that's exactly what Joe Cronin's mindset is right now.
Yep.
And I applaud that if that's the case. Just do not fold. Like, if that's going to be the way you play it, and you sit there, and I hear that you stood your ground and didn't compromise. You told them that what you wanted. Don't do the whole thing where you're not taking calls, or you're, not telling them what you actually would trade Jerami for, whatever. If he told them, we will trade you Jerami, but it will not be for less than at least the 2 first-round picks, and or some combination. I don't know if they. I have no idea if they think Connect is a first-round pick or not in that scenario. The Blazers, I mean. Or
I hope so. He should have been a top 10 pick, man.
Yeah, I'm just saying. Like, I don't know if that's what they're saying. Like, either like we've been talking about 2 out of the 3. I do know they want at least 2 first-round pick value for Jerami Grant, and they are according to what I've heard, not going to trade him unless they get that. And I think that's the right play, because there has to be a situation where he is worth two first. Hopefully if it's not now, it's when some of these things start to shake up, and there's teams like the Kings who had a slightly down year from the year before, didn't make the playoffs, losing the play-in, and start to panic like, wow, we haven't done much this offseason, like we need to make a splash still. And so maybe you find a way to do that. So from what I've been told, the Blazers told the Lakers if they want Grant, it's going to cost them 2 firsts, and that they're not going to settle for anything less than that.
Yep. And Anthony Irwin has basically alluded to that as well. He's a reporter down in LA, and it's pretty clear cut. I think, maybe if they're too heavily protected, maybe Portland doesn't trade him for 2 firsts. That's the thing, is if they get 2 firsts, what are the protections on those firsts? That is something to figure out ultimately. But that's really what it's going to come down to. And I don't know what else the Lakers would trade these first-round picks for. There were Laker fans starting to want Miles Bridges, and obviously, there's a lot of teams out there that would never sign Miles Bridges. Apparently, the Lakers are one of them. What are their other options? DeMar DeRozan on a tax MLE, you keep the picks? I mean, that's not going to change things for the Lakers. He's not a good fit. They need somebody legitimate, a true needle mover. DeMar DeRozan is good, but given his fit issues, he doesn't help them defensively. He doesn't help their three-point shooting, which was near the bottom of the league. DeRozan is not going to make much of a difference. It's kind of like Westbrook 2.0, just a little bit better. So they need a guy like Jerami Grant. And if they have to overpay to get him, if LeBron is forcing that because he wants to win, then Portland could be the beneficiary of a market and a situation in LA that lines up in their favor. And Cronin just has to have the patience to hopefully let those chips fall in his favor. And if they don't, then I understand Jerami Grant being a Portland Trailblazer next year, and although that kind of bums me out because ultimately you're going to have to make some tough decisions. If you have Anfernee Simons back, you're going to have to bring one of the 3 guards off the bench or Denny Avdia, and I don't like that. I think all 3 of Avdia, Scoot, and Sharp should be starting. The 4th man is probably one of Anfernee Simons or Jerami Grant. So if you trade Jerami Grant, get back good assets, you can start the 3 guards with Avdia at the 4, Ayton probably still at the 5, and you got enough minutes to go around. If not, you got a little bit of a log jam, and you're going to have to bring somebody off the bench that maybe shouldn't be. Now, the Blazers get hurt all the time, so maybe it remedies itself eventually, but you don't want to have a key piece injured in order to start the right players. Scoot needs to start, Sharp needs to start, that backcourt needs to grow together. If Ant is starting with them, cool. You see if it works or not. Avdia has to start as well. He's too good.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. You got to free up spots, and I don't really like the way the rotation plays out with Grant. I mean, but what do you do if no team offers you the 2 first? Do you just hold out into the season until something happens?
I think you hold out until August, September, because I think if the Lakers are going to fold, they're going to fold before that.
Yeah.
And ultimately, Eric, I don't think the Blazers are going to get back better value for Jerami Grant at next year's trade deadline. Or next offseason. I think he's kind of at the peak of his value right now. And if that value can't manifest itself into 2 first-round picks, you take a first-round pick and a couple of seconds in September from, Sacramento if they still want to make a splash. Maybe Memphis still wants to make a splash offensively because they need some help on that end. There's some other destinations for Grant, which is why I'm a bit optimistic. Because that's the other thing. It's if the Lakers feel like they're not bidding against anybody, will they get desperate enough to still give up 2 first-round picks for Jerami Grant? I don't know, but if they feel like they're betting against somebody and have to make something happen, then you could end up with a really good trade on Portland's end. So Portland should be talking to other teams regarding Jerami Grant just to see if any other teams give up 2 first-round picks. And if they do, maybe that's just as good of a trade as you can get from LA, so you pull the trigger. But at the very least, you create a bidding war. You maybe try and... what's the word? Like, you leak those talks. You're calculated. You leak those talks somehow where the Lakers can catch wind of it, and the Lakers realize they're in a bidding war with other teams that are willing to give up 2 first-round picks. Ultimately, you have to manufacture a bidding war. You have to field other offers on Jerami Grant, and you have to play hardball, in my opinion, until like September-ish, because I don't think the Lakers are going to hold out that long, and I think he's set max value. If that max value comes in September, you still solve the issue with the lineup. You probably don't miss out on anything by trading Grant at that point, even if it's just 1 first, because I don't think you're going to get back more if you can't right now.
Yeah, and I think this is where Cronin has to differentiate between, there was no good offers out there, when you're trying to be buyers, and like you said, manufacturing value when you're a seller. And so he has, as Chat's pointing out, the Blazers have the leverage here. They have the player that should be coveted by several teams that could use him. Now, right now, during the offseason, the only argument you could make is that it's hard to start a bidding war when not many teams could currently make a trade for him, because a lot of these, or obviously all the free agents signing, aren't tradable now. A lot of teams are getting hard capped or whatever. A lot of teams are worried about aprons and stuff and need to stay below certain aprons. So there might be a situation where there's not as many teams as they were hoping in this bidding war. That's why it's important to get the Lakers to cave somehow. But also, I don't know if it's necessarily, it would suck for rotation wise and all that stuff, but I don't know if it's that bad to wait until several teams have tradable contracts for him either.
Yeah, I feel like they drag it out until the deadline. The touches thing is an issue if you bring back both Ant and Grant, in my opinion. I just see Avdia taking too much of a back seat. Like, they valued him enough to pick him up to give up 2 firsts for him, so I'd hope not. But I just have a feeling if Grant's here, it's going to be, Grant's taking 20 shots a game. Avdia's playing too much off the ball.
Yeah.
20 shots a game is a little overzealous, but you get my point. So that's another reason to move Grant before the season, because you want to build off Avdia's season last year. You want to give him on-ball reps. He was best as a point forward last year in Washington. I can't stress that enough. He can handle. He averaged almost 4 assists a game. He can drive. He's not much of a mid-range shooter, but can get to the rim, finish well, 70% within the restricted area, shot 37% from 3. Some of those 3s are off the dribble 3s. Like, he's basically a 3-level scorer to me. I think he needs to add a little bit more of a floater that would make him even more dangerous. Got to get something a little better in the mid-range, but ultimately it's like, that's a really good player, and he's 23. You got to keep developing him. You got to pick up where Washington left off. And that is just my worry, man, is if he's the one off the bench, I think that's a travesty. Even if he's in the starting lineup, though, if he's in the starting lineup with Scoot and Ant or Sharp and Ant and Grant and Ayton, is he the 5th option? Because that's probably not a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. It's not ideal. I don't think... I mean, I don't know this for sure, but in my mind, you give up 2 firsts for Avdia. Like, they hopefully feel that same way about him, right? Yeah. That he's not a secondary player.
Yeah.
Like, if they do feel that way, it's not a good trade then if they gave up that much for him. So, in my mind, just based on what they gave up, they have to think he is a starting level player, first of all, and second of all, someone that is a major part of their core and that should deserve a big role on this team. So if that's not going to be the case this year, I don't like the trade as much if they are kind of just using him like they used like Tamani last year or something.
Yeah, 100%. I'd be interested in a first and a swap if it was unprotected from the Lakers as well. Like, that's interesting. Sure. If the swap's in 2029, which means they could then only trade one future first instead of two because of the way the Stepien rule sets up with their future picks, but you could get swap rights to their pick in 2029, and you get swap rights with the worst of Portland, Boston, Milwaukee. So that's how you get some of those convoluted picks. Like, if Portland wants to swap in 2029, then basically they'd get the best out of the Lakers pick and the worst of Milwaukee's, Boston's, Portland's pick. But I think it's more likely that they get a 2029 first and a swap in maybe 2028 or 2030. Yeah. Ultimately, the Blazers have swap rights with Milwaukee, so maybe they could get the best out of Portland's, LA's, and Milwaukee's picks in 2028, and LA gets the worst, and then Portland gets their 2029 first. Like, yes, that's not quite two firsts, but that's intriguing to me because you're maximizing your draft capital.
That's what basically San Antonio got for the 8th pick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then if Portland doesn't swap in 2028, maybe it can defer to a swap in 2030. Like, you can maybe get a little creative here if LA wants to keep their 2031 first-round pick.
And maybe you get, like, if you're not happy with that return, maybe you get more value down the line by flipping Rui or whoever you get back in that trade.
Yeah, exactly. So, there are pathways to a deal. We're just going to have to monitor the situation. I think it's going to play out slowly, unfortunately. I would love for a trade to happen right this second, and it'd be a good one. But ultimately, we're going to have some semblance of patience, I think. Just as long as if it doesn't happen tonight, I hope it doesn't happen the next 2 days. Hopefully it happens like next weekend. That would be perfect. But I think I'm going to have to keep the ringtone on Eric on the phone for a while, unfortunately. Yeah. Shout out to Wes Davidson, $5 donation, says, is the Pistons' goal to create a dumpster fire big enough to keep Detroit warm throughout the whole winter? What are they doing? Harris? Yeah, so they signed Tobias Harris on a 2-year, $52 million deal. Is there a team option for year 2, though, Eric, is my question.
I have not seen any details. Let me see if Spot Track has it yet. They're usually pretty fast with these things, but I don't know how fast. I agree. I don't really like what they're doing.
If they have a team option for year 2, I'm completely fine with that. Because they just let him walk. And maybe he's a trade asset at the deadline. And what were they going to use their cap space on anyway, So if that's the case, fine. But if he's like actually under contract and no team control next season, then they wasted cap space next year too, and I don't like that.
It just says estimate. He has him on the Pistons, but his contract is estimate. So
yeah, so we'll just have to see.
I haven't seen anything about a team option.
I actually think the deal's fine if they have a team option year 2, but who knows?
Yeah, I know he's got 3 years on his contract, but I would have rather, instead of signing someone like Tobias Harris, just take Levine in the first and maybe recoup some value like we're talking about OKC did for years with guys like Al Horford and stuff like that. And maybe you get a first down the line for trading Levine. But I would take that asset over just signing someone outright.
Yeah, you just have to wonder how Levine interferes if they're going to play him with the minutes of young guys and the culture that they're trying to build and all that. So I don't know.
I mean, outside of being hurt, Levine has been pretty good, like, when he's healthy. So, like, his only concern is his injury, I guess.
Yeah, it just feels like the type of player you'd see on a bad organization at this point, going from Chicago to Detroit.
Well, why not just... Because if you take Ben Simmons, then he's only got 1 year left on his deal. Like, I'm sure the Nets would give them Ben Simmons. I just thought there was other.
Yeah, I mean, they're maybe banking on being able to flip Tobias for something at the deadline where they would get that first and not have to deal with Levine's contract long term. So, I kind of understand it. They had to use their cap space on something. G. Williker says Jerami has the same red flags as Brogdon. Are we sure he's even worth one first? What do you mean the same red flags as Brogdon? And he's definitely worth the first. LA, I think, would trade a first for him right now if he was only worth one first.
Jerami's a good player. That's the reasons we don't want him on our team are not really his fault. I think he fits really well on the Lakers. And one thing I was looking into, when LeBron has had good three-point shooting around him,
yeah,
he's almost unstoppable, and they're almost guaranteed to make a deep playoff run.
Yeah,
and it's when he doesn't have good shooting and the spacing is terrible, and the roster is kind of mediocre, that he doesn't play well. And Jerami's a guy who the last 2 seasons has shot just over 40% from three. He absolutely spaces the floor, and he can get some buckets. And when Anthony Davis and LeBron get a lot of attention, and
he'll be a menace attacking those closeouts as well.
For all his faults on defense in our scheme that we had in play, I mean, like he competes on defense. It's not like he gives up. He doesn't compete for rebounds, I guess, is the only knock on him, really. But with LeBron and Anthony Davis and stuff, you don't really need him to be a strong rebounder. So, yeah, as Jay King says, he's been doing a good job of getting to the line and stuff like that here in Portland. So, yeah, I don't see any real flaws. Like, this is just a thing where he's around 30 years old. It might be 30 exactly, and then I just don't think he fits with this team, and I don't like having Chauncey as coach with a guy like Jerami. Like, he specifically said last year that he was forcing Jerami to just ISO and take bad shots and stuff because we didn't have anyone else that could create. I don't like having that crutch for Chauncey on the team, so I'd rather get rid of him. And then, I mean, admittedly, Grant doesn't even like doing that either. So, yeah, I would just move on from him. But that doesn't mean I don't think he's a good player. He's a pretty dang good player, and I think if he's your 4th option or something on a team, you're in really good shape.
Yeah. And I think right now Jerami is more likely to get traded than Anfernee Simons. I don't know everything with the Anfernee Simons situation, but even if Portland wanted to trade him, I don't think they'd trade him. Because I think they'd want to trade him for what they feel like is justifiable value, and they're not going to get that. So even if, like, hypothetically, Ant wanted to trade and the Blazers wanted to trade him, I still don't know if he'd get traded because of the market out there. Orlando basically bowed out. I thought Orlando was going to make a play for Anfernee Simons because of how perfect of a fit he was, and I thought ultimately that had a good chance of leading to a trade between Portland and Orlando. Instead, Orlando has spent $30 million on KCP and Gary Harris, which I think is just stupid of them. They need shot creation in the backcourt. Instead, they're just getting a couple 3-and-D guys, and they have not addressed the shot creation at all.
Goga, too.
Yeah, but Tadze, so, I mean, they could still match salary, I guess, in order to trade for him. Or, I don't know, maybe Anthony Black for him still works because you could renounce Gary Harris's cap hold and then fit him into the cap room exception. I just don't know how much they actually paid Goga. I didn't see the actual number somewhere. So
it was $324, so about $8 million too.
Yeah, you fit him in. So they had $27 million of cap space, but Tadze should fit into the room exception like barely, and then Gary Harris making about $7 million because it's 2 year $14 million. So that gets him down to $20 million of cap space before fitting Batadze into the room exception. So Anthony Black for Anfernee Simons would still work for them, just barely. So I don't think it's completely dead, because Anthony Black in a first-round pick was always going to be like the most likely trade for Anfernee Simons. It just feels like Orlando's going in a different direction, which I think is a mistake, but who knows?
Well, we don't even know if they were even interested in Simons or not,
Yeah. I mean logically speaking, he makes a ton of sense, so that's kind of where all that comes from.
Absolutely. But, yeah, I mean, there's been no... Other than, Anfernee's perfect for Orlando, and Orlando needs a guard, and they have all this cap space and stuff. It seemed like a match made in heaven if you were going to trade Anfernee, but I don't know. Teams seem to. There's a lot of teams that I think Anfernee would be really good for. They just seem to sleep on him for some reason.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a bunch of teams sleeping on him. Maybe he's not as good as we think. I don't know. It's like these front offices are it's their living to know who's good and who's not good across the league. I think Anfernee's good. It's just, what do these teams think about his defense, and how much does that play into their decision to not trade for him? How much do they think it's just him putting up numbers on a bad team and on a good team? He's not even a 20-point-per-game guy, maybe. I think those are some of the factors that could be weighing down his trade value, and we don't know if those questions are true or false, because we haven't seen Anfernee starting for a good team. That's why he had those comments in his exit interview talking about, he wants to play on a playoff stage now. So he's never played on a playoff stage after becoming a established player. But he's really skilled, and he's gotten better, and he put up 22 and 5.5 assists last year at 24 years of age, and is a sniper and is one of the best volume 3-point shooters in the league. So ultimately, it just takes one team to see some value in that. Maybe that team is a team we didn't expect. Who knows?
Yeah. So Greg Boers in chat says, these guys are panicking. Scoot can still come off the bench if no trades are made. He's only 19.
What is with people saying literally anything is panicking? How in the world? Bro, go look up the definition of the word panic. We literally, I mean...
Laker fans.
We literally just sat there and say, Cronin has to play hardball, and if he doesn't get 2 firsts for Jerami, they might have to go into the season next year, and they might have to make a tough decision on who to bench. We literally said that. Everybody that says we're panicking about something always they never listen, Eric. They never actually listen. It's ridiculous.
Tori, I mean, no offense, Greg, but it is ridiculous that you would say that because, well, first of all, Scoot's 20, not 19. But second of all, do you know my feelings on the Scoot Anfernee situation? Why are you putting words in my mouth?
Yeah, it is.
I would be fine with Scoot coming off the bench next year and Anfernee starting or whatever. I would be fine if the Blazers chose Anfernee over Scoot eventually in that decision. But I don't think it needs to be made right now. But if Scoot struggled this year, if Scoot's awesome this year, absolutely, you got to move Simons eventually. But I am fine with them keeping both until Scoot is able to prove, without a doubt, that he can handle that role. And so I don't understand why you're saying these guys are panicking. When did we say anything about Scoot's role or anything in this show? We didn't say a word about Scoot, did we?
Yeah,
Other than naming him as part of the rotation?
I don't know, man. People make up things that we say just so they can complain about it. It's silly. Nobody's panicking right now. I've been pretty happy with this offseason, but yeah, sure, we're panicking. I'm ready to run around the room and set my house on fire because, oh no, Jerami Grant is still a Portland Trailblazer. Oh no. Anyway, shout out to Lucas DeBias, with a 20 Rand donation, says Portland wants first-round picks, and then in parentheses, recover 2025 first-round pick, plus young players, Reeves plus Rui. LA want DeRozan plus Grant. Chicago, Johnson, Robert Williams, Gabe Vincent, Jalen Hood-Schifino, plus a first-round pick. Brooklyn want Russell, Walker, Thibault, plus 2026 first-round pick, not have first pick in 2026. Lucas, thank you for the donation. I'm a bit confused. That is a lot of names and a lot of teams, but I'm sure it works. I think the Lakers do want DeRozan and Grant. Are they willing to pay the price for Grant? I don't know. I don't think that the Lakers are giving up Austin Reeves, though. I saw his name in there. No chance.
One thing that people are not considering, though, if they do acquire someone with their mid-level exception or an assign and trade, they're hard capped. If they just trade for Jerami, they're not. Yeah. So they might operate as a team above the tax and not use that mid-level exception, which would mean it's not a package deal. So I don't think it's necessarily dependent on anything. I think, actually, I don't know if it mattered that much, but if they would have gotten Clay and LeBron took less, I think then they're going all in and they're willing to give up the picks. Now I'm not sure if they think Grant is enough, so I don't know if they think Grant and DeRozan is enough. To me, I'd be going after, I don't know, like, why couldn't they get Buddy Hield for cheap right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think they still go after Jerami because ultimately, like, they got LeBron. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Even if that's not good enough, I don't think they'll be thinking that is good enough. I think they think of it as, we got to give LeBron the best chance because he's LeBron. Right? And LeBron can, even at this age, maybe carry a team through the West. Who knows? Like, they made the Western Conference Finals a little over a year ago. And then this past year, you know, they... who'd they play again? Oh, Denver. They played Denver again and lost in 5. But all the games are competitive. It's not like they're not close to being competitive against the best teams in the West. Like, maybe they would have beaten OKC. Who knows? Playoffs are a game of matchups. So you need that third guy, and then you need a little bit more shooting off the bench. As you said, LeBron, when he's surrounded by shooters, is really, really good. Jerami Grant, 40% three-point shooter at the power forward position. You're not going to find that anywhere else.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's been talks that, like, Gary Trent's not even going to get the tax mid-level at this point. Like, just sign him to a minimum or something. Like, yeah. I'm sure he'd like to play in LA if he doesn't get an offer more than the minimum. So I think you can find shooters, man, right now. There's some available on this list. So trade for Grant and then pick up one of those shooters and you're set, I think.
Yep. River Morrison says, what if Scoot doesn't develop? Right now he sucks on both offense and defense. Telfair never developed. We'd be wishing we had Simons. I mean, what if the team moves to Seattle? What if, you know what I mean? Like, that's not going to happen. Scoot's not going to be the same player he is right now in 3 years. I just don't really understand, like, the doomsday hypotheticals regarding Scoot's development. Has going to get better. He works hard. He got better throughout last season. At the end of the year, he had some really, really good moments. He still has a lot of room for improvement, but the fact that he improved in the middle of last season as much as he did should show you that he's going to develop into something in the league. Maybe it's a bottom-tier starting point guard in the league. Maybe it's an all-star. I don't know. But he's not going to be Sebastian Telfair. I feel very confident in that. So I just don't really understand that. Like, we should not keep Simons because we're worried that Scoot's Sebastian Telfair. I just think logically, like, you gotta let it ride with Scoot. And worst case scenario, if he doesn't ever become a starting caliber player, then you're screwed because you need him to become really good. You're not screwed because you gave up Anfernee Simons.
I'm of the opinion I don't think it's bad to keep both for another year.
I just don't think that's the conversation, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, I don't think there should be in any, like, have to trade Anfernee like we talked about Grant. I don't know.
Chauncey Scott. One involves like Rui and Gabe Vincent, and then Connect in a first, and one involves Rui and Gabe Vincent in 2 firsts. Did you hear Chris Broussard taking shots at Portland today? What was Chris Broussard saying, and why was he taking shots at Portland? How are we even relevant enough for him to take shots at us?
It's probably the city.
Maybe.
Tribe says, is Cronin alive? Does he even know free agency started?
He signed Minaya! No, he signed Minaya. He knows.
What were you expecting Cronin to do? We've already discussed this. They had no roster spots available. They have no money available. Who do you want him to sign?
Yeah. They're not signing anyone. It's just trades. This is a trade talk stream, basically. Unfortunately. This is 2 years in a row. Who knows when the next time we use our mid-level exception will be, Eric?
Yeah.
Didn't use it last year. Not going to use it this year. Best case scenario, Eric, we use our MLE to absorb salary in a trade to create a giant trade exception.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really feel like using it, you know?
Chauncey Scott also says, would you want Vincent or D'Lo?
Neither.
Yeah, I don't.
But we'll take them back in order to get the first. Pretty simple, yeah.
I would. If we're flipping them, obviously D'Lo has more value. So I'd take D'Lo, and also he's an expiring. Vincent has a couple of years left, so I'd take D'Lo if I had the choice. If I was stuck with that player on the roster and couldn't trade him, I'm probably taking Vincent just because he's probably more of a bench leader type like Brogdon was last year without needing to play or not being good enough to play minutes over anyone.
Yeah, Gabe Vincent isn't good. That signing was kind of ridiculous, I thought.
Yeah.
He wasn't even that good in Miami. But, Miami makes mid players look good, so you got to sign them. Kendrick Nunn, Gabe Vincent. Someone's going to get injured, have to take that into account. When you're rebuilding, though, you don't want to have an injury to play your young guys proper minutes to develop.
Yeah. Well, also, I mean, if they threw in, Jalen Hood-Schifino or something, I know you don't like him, but that's... If as your third guard or something off the bench for injury purposes, that's fine, I think.
It's better than Gabe Vincent, yeah.
Yeah. Or you could always, if you make a trade where you make several moves and you need to sign someone as a third guard, I don't think that's bad either.
Shot says, these dudes talking about Lakers trash players, LOL. I don't want anyone from the Lakers roster, LOL. So we'll reiterate this, because you may not have heard us say this before. It's not about the players we're getting back. It's about the draft picks or Dalton Connect. We have to take back some salary, though, because the Lakers have to match salary in order to bring in Jerami Grant, who makes $30 million. So the Lakers have to send out $23-24 million of salary. So we have to take somebody back that we don't want. Those deals are just included in the trade to help facilitate us getting back future firsts and or Dalton Connect. So don't focus on the names and how good they are or bad they are. Sure, yeah, you'd rather have better contracts back than worse contracts, but ultimately, you care about the first, you care about Connect.
Yeah. Chauncey Scott, first of all, please hit this button on your keyboard that says caps lock. One time only, just push it, and then you'll be good to go. And second of all, I mean, I'm sure Tori would want Connect if you got to choose, right?
Between that and a protected first, yeah. If it's a top 8 protected, top 10 protected first, I'd rather have Connect. If it's unprotected first, I'd kind of rather have the unprotected first. But I'm just a Connect fan, so there is a little bit of bias there.
Yeah. but there's 3 assets: the 2029 first, the 2031 first, and Dalton Connect. I think either of us would be over the moon excited about it if we got 2 out of the 3.
Yep.
And that's what the Blazers need to hold out for. So it doesn't matter what the other combination of players. I could care less what that combination is, as long as we get 2 out of those 3 assets. I'm willing to deal with whatever contracts have to come back in that situation.
Yep. This dude says, Scoot or Sharp goes down for the season, then what? Y'all be crying about how we should have kept Ant. Bro, we're rebuilding. We're not trying to win games next year. If Scoot or Sharp goes down, it makes it more likely we get Cooper Flag. That's the silver lining. We're going to be upset if Scoot or Sharp goes down because they go down and they need playing time to develop them. But we are not focused on winning next year. We're focused on building a contender years from now. So it doesn't really matter like that in the way that you're saying it. Like, we're not going to wish we kept Ant if we get a good trade package for him because Scoot got hurt.
And honestly, dude, I'm sick of this crap. Why do you keep saying you guys? I want to keep Anfernee Simons. I do not want to trade him. Quit telling me that I'm going to be sad, that I'm going to be crying when we don't have Anfernee because you wanted to trade him. I don't want to trade him.
He will be crying.
What are you talking about? Listen to what we're saying. I will literally be crying. Yes, tears of sadness because we traded him. Like, what are you talking about, dude?
Oh, man.
I get so sick when people, like, either think we're the same person and can never, they have to group us together, or just think they know what we feel based on stuff. Like, it's so dumb, man. Like,
you didn't know that I speak for you?
Not once have I ever said I've wanted to trade Anfernee Simons or do anything with Anfernee Simons. Even last year when we were talking about how we had to trade Anfernee Simons, I was still sad that we had to trade Anfernee Simons to help Dame. Like, I feel like it's just, man, I don't understand why people come in here and just, like, say this crap, man.
Watch, now you're gonna have
not trolling.
3 more. Anyway, Tori wants Simons too. We all do, together forever, ha. I mean, I don't really care either way. I think they need to trade one of Grant and Simons. I'm hoping they trade Grant. And Simons, like, if they could get back a really good trade package for Simons, I would do it in a heartbeat. I just don't think that's realistic. So my want to keep Ant is more so, like, the asset. I'm not as high on, like, his potential to be a superstar or whatever as Eric is, or like an all-star, like top 20-ish player in the league. Like, I'm not that high, but I still think a lot of this fan base wildly underrates Anfernee Simons, and Anfernee Simons is a good player. If you hear me talk with Stephen Vaughn, you'll hear me defending Anfernee Simons a lot, in talking up Anfernee Simons. If you hear me discuss Anfernee Simons with Eric, it's probably going to seem like I'm a little bit more negative on Anfernee Simons. So I think, Ant's a good player. He has a couple of flaws, but he can score on all 3 levels. His playmaking improved last year. He played with a ton of gravity. Who knows what he's in next to, like, if he can play next to better teammates, who knows what he looks like on a winning team. I don't know.
Well, I've said this for years. Before Anfernee Simons, when it was Dame and CJ, and a different coach and all that kind of stuff, I feel like the Blazers, for this entire time, since 2015, when they lost Aldridge and their 2 main wing defenders, Batum and Wes, I mean, they've had guys like Aminu and Harkless, which are fine, but the Blazers, it's gotten worse basically every year since the Western Conference Finals run, where we put our guards in particular, we try to hide them, and by hiding them, they get mismatched onto bigs and have to guard inside way too much for my liking, and it just puts them in horrible positions. And I don't think there's many guards in the league that could be a good defender if they're forced into the positions that we put our players in. And so now we have a legit point of attack defender in Avdia, and also a hopefully top-notch, maybe not right away, but, Klingon should be an above average, at least, defensive center. That we haven't had that in a while. So maybe like Nurk pre-injury was that way, but I don't think he's the same as if Klingon pans out to what he could possibly be on the defensive end. So I want to see if having an Avdia, Tumani, and Klingon can help our guards become better defenders. I want to see how that plays out before just saying, oh, this can't work or this guy's terrible, when I've watched him try to guard like LeBron inside, or Anthony Davis, or DeMontis Sabonis or whatever, and you're just getting switched in the restricted area like 10 times a game and getting dunked on or laid up on. So like I want to see how that plays out on defense if all our guards, Sharp, Scoot, Anfernee, benefit from having better defensive players around him. And we've already said this for years, that if you are going to make a smaller lineup work, you have to have the ideal 4-5 lineup. Now, do I think Avdia and Klingon are ideal? I have no idea. I mean, they are both good on defense, so they should be better than anything we've had in recent years. But realistically, I mean, what's to say that's not a really good pairing that helps the guards free up and look better defensively? And then offensively, if Scoot takes a jump, Sharp takes a jump, I don't see how Anfernee spacing the floor can't help them become better versions of themselves. Like, if it helps open the paint for Scoot. I don't want to use Anfernee exclusively off ball, but he'd still get opportunities when Scoot's on the bench as the point guard or whatever. And they don't have to be like 100% one way or the other. But I would use Scoot as the primary ball handler and use Anfernee off screens and off ball a lot more, and run some of those. Watch UConn sets, what Donovan talked about in his presser. Like, go watch every game of UConn and incorporate some of those sets that he's been talking about and wrinkles into the offense, and see if you can free up your shooters off ball like that, and then see if Scoot can just navigate the whole offense and be a wizard passing the ball and all that kind of stuff. I don't see a problem in seeing one more year with that. I don't think it hurts anyone's development to have Anfernee spacing the floor or anything like that.
I mean, if you're going to use Ant like that, if you have the shot creation, ball handling ability, passing of Scoot, Sharp, Avdia, the passing of Klingon long-term, like, wouldn't it be better to have a similar shooter that is a much better defender that doesn't have the same on-ball juice, since you have a lot of the creation covered?
But we don't. I mean, that's sure. I mean, who's that player?
I'm not sure. I'm just talking hypothetically.
I see. In my mind, like, obviously, if you could, like, I'm just trying to say, like, who, if you could handpick any player in the league, who would that be?
I have not thought that far. I mean, I'm sure you can find a player that fits that mold. I can think about it and probably get you a name that makes sense. Of a dude that's not, like... I don't know. It's tough to completely look past some of the advanced defensive metrics. Like, there's a lot of noise that goes into them. A lot of those metrics have Ant as the worst defender in the league last year. So, I don't know. I try not to put any stock into them, but it is tough to look past some of them. Test didn't really match up with him being the worst defender in the league. But if you're trying to be a top 5 to 10 defense, can you play Anfernee Simons 35 minutes a game with Scoot, who might not be good, with Sharp, who might not be good? I don't know.
Scoot was a worse defender than Anfernee. I don't care what the numbers say. Scoot was awful on defense last year.
I mean, Scoot's a 19-year-old rookie.
No,
he should be awful.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, it's not a guarantee that Scoot is a better defender than Anfernee Simons.
Oh, I know. But I have more faith in Scoot, given that he's 20 years old right now, coming off a rookie season, than Ant. I don't know. I think Ant's a better defender than the metrics show. I just think he's, like, below average. I don't think he's quite horrible. He had game 1, he looked really good defensively, and then he got hurt. And then I didn't really see the same level of intensity when he came back. Now, he was playing for a bad team that was tanking, but he said he wanted to take the bad defender label out of his name. In game 1, it looked like he was ready to do that. Like, he had some impressive moments defending Kawhi. We got blown out in that game, but you could make the case that he was our best defender that game and just playing with the most energy on that end. And then he came back and, I don't know, it just wasn't really the same level of intensity as I saw game 1. There could be a bunch of different reasons for that. Of course, coming back from injury, not being in game shape because you only got to play one game at the start of the year before you got hurt. There's just a lot of metrics that hate him, and I'm kind of curious as to, like, why exactly that is, like, which metrics pour into some of these, like EPM, estimated plus minus, is like an advanced defensive metric there where a lot of things pour into it, which can make it kind of noisy. But I'm just curious, like, what specifically is causing Ant to be so bad in that metric defensively?
Well, I think it's the 10 times a game he gets caught under the basket against the center of power forward.
Yeah, but wouldn't Scoot then be just as bad? Like, negative 3.5, Scoot is negative 2.6 because he's in the same situation. Wouldn't Sharp be just as bad then? Because it's not like those guys are good defenders, and Chauncey also put those guys in the same position.
Yeah, I mean, Sharp has a lot smaller sample size, but wasn't he? I want to say his rookie year, he was last in defensive EPM for a long time, I think, and then might have rose up at the end of the season. But I don't know.
Yeah, I had an advanced account. If somebody has a Dunks and Threes account, let me know what Sharp's defensive EPM was last year, because I am curious.
In his rookie year.
Yeah, in his rookie year.
It was disappointing to me, his defense last year, because I felt like he had made some good improvements that kind of went unnoticed 2 years ago. And I felt like last year he went back to falling asleep too much off ball and that kind of stuff. Now, we know for a fact when you have a huge offensive responsibility that your defense suffers. I don't care who you are. It's really hard to keep up when you have to create offense constantly than to have 100% effort on defense. That's not an excuse. I'm saying, but that's exactly why I would let Scoot take over majority of the ball handling duties to kind of alleviate that and see if you can get him to not have lapses on defense.
Yeah, I think, that reasoning goes a certain distance, and then, like, you still got to be focused off the ball. Maybe you're not playing with a ton of energy, but you can't fall asleep. So, I don't know. Like, this is why, if they got a good package back for Ant, I am completely fine with trading him. But it's not realistic, so at that point, you got to keep him. It's pretty simple for me, because if you trade them, you clear up touches for Scoot, for Sharp, you clear up minutes in the backcourt. You can start both of them in the backcourt with Avdia at the the 3 maybe. In long term, that might be the best combination, and you can just kind of give the keys to the offense to Sharp and Scoot. Whereas if you have Ant and if you have Grant, like, I feel like the keys are going to be in those guys' hands. I agree with playing Ant a little bit more off the ball to give Scoot more on-ball reps. I think that would be good for Scoot's development and, would be a better fit. I just wonder if you're doing it too much where you have Ant off the ball, how much are you defeating the purpose of Ant in the first place, which is that he can do stuff off the dribble.
Mm-hmm.
So these are things I think about. I don't know. What do you think Ant's trade value should be, Eric?
Well, one thing real quick about his defense. As I've been saying this for years, Tori, you know this. I want whoever it is, especially if we're going to run drop, just stop hiding the guards. Just put them on the best guards, the ball handlers, and let Klingon do his job at the rim. Let Denny do his job. Let Grant do his job if he's here. Quit trying to hide them in the corners. Because, how many times did Grant get beat off the dribble? And then, like I said, we have Anfernee as our rim protector, Scoot as our rim protector, and we don't have people in the right positions. So I feel like if we're going to get beat off the dribble and play drop or get screened and not fight through screens, I'd rather have that be Scoot and Anfernee getting cooked on screens, and then you have your good defenders back there backing them up.
Yeah.
In terms of his value, though,
first, I did find my account for dunks and threes. Sharp's defensive EPM his rookie season was the same as Scoot's, negative 2.6.
Yeah.
Anfernee Simons's, which was much better than what it was this past year.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And I feel like last season. What's up?
2 years ago, we had Dame. Last year, he took over as the lead guard
and
had a ton of.
I mean, if he's that good, he has to be like a little bit better defensively.
Absolutely, I 100% agree. I'm not everything I said about Anfernee defense. I completely agree. He needs to be better. I just want to see if having elite defenders like Avdia and Klingon could be, if that helps him become a little bit better. I just want to see how that works.
Yeah. I think in order to be a top 5 defense, you have to have 2 great defenders and 1 good defender in your starting lineup, and then you have to have a couple guys that will at least be okay-ish off ball and not get back cut all the time, that sort of thing. And if you don't have 2 great defenders, you need 1 absolute game changer like a Wemby or a Gobert. I don't know if Klingon will get to game changer level. I think it's more likely he's a great defender. Avdia is a great defender. I think in the starting lineup you also need another guy like Kamara. I feel really good about the defense long term if Kamara and Avdia are your starting forwards and Klingon is your starting center. It's just the offensive questions. You have to have a 2 star guards, I think. That front court maybe would have made Dame and CJ work or Dame and Ant work. But, that's the thing is who's that backcourt? And even if you do have 2 star guards, is that front court good enough offensively to win with them? I still don't know. It depends on what Klingon turns into. If he can turn into a shooter, it depends on Kamara becoming a better shooter so he doesn't get played off the floor in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep. We have another donation. Tay plays with a $5 donation. Do you guys think coaching can kill a player's potential?
I don't think fully, but it can hurt a player. Coaching matters with player development. Ultimately, I think it comes down to the player to get into the gym in the offseason and work on their game and improve their game. And if they do, most coaches are going to find a role for them, play them, and give them enough opportunity that they can grow from it. But there are definitely better developmental coaches.
Yeah. Well, let's just say Chauncey's the worst coach ever for Scoot's development. Like, I'm not saying that's true. Let's just say it is hypothetically. I would still say it's more important for Scoot to be working his butt off individually this offseason and improve his game on his own than it would anything that the coach did to him. The only thing that I'll say that is a major factor when it comes to coaching and development and stuff like that is a coach can absolutely kill a player's confidence. And we know a lot of players I'm trying to think of an example. This is probably a bad example, but like Myers Leonard, when he was young, like if he turned the ball over, he would get yanked out of the game immediately. I know there's some other players like that too in recent years for the Blazers. So like you can absolutely have your confidence and you're like you don't want to have young players like constantly worried about messing up. You want them to improve to where they're not messing up, but you also don't want them to feel like they can't ever make a mistake because even the best players in the league average 3 or 4 turnovers a game. So like they're gonna mess up sometimes. You can't be perfect on a basketball court. It's impossible. So I do think that a coach can kind of mess with your psyche a little bit, but ultimately you can be as good as you want to be if you put in the work. So I think that's more of a factor than coaching.
Yep. Anyway, any other like big talking points you want to discuss on the stream? We had nothing happen once again while we were live.
Disappointing, man.
Just want something, anything.
Yeah. Yes, why don't you eat steak?
I don't like steak, man. That's why. Shout to Conan Dune with a $5 donation. Can we trade the other 2029s in the future now that the Wizards get the second best out of the 3? Don't recall it being a specific 2029. Yeah, so basically right now, since they get the second best of the 3, we get the best out of the 3 and we get the worst out of the 3. So what we can do is we could go trade the worst 2029 first of Boston, Milwaukee, Portland. Or we could go trade the best 2029 first out of Boston, Milwaukee, Portland. Or we could even go to another team and say, you get the best 2029 first out of Boston, Milwaukee, Portland, but it's top 8 protected. And if it falls in the top 8, then you instead get the worst of 2029 first between Boston, Milwaukee, Portland. So there's like all sorts of ways you can trade picks like that. Basically, we had 3 firsts, and now we only have 2, and there's just stipulations on the 2 where like we will get the best and the worst. So we can trade the best or the worst.
And actually, so I believe, so we got that 2025 first round pick for Milwaukee that was top 4 protected in the CJ trade.
Yeah.
That was unprotected to New Orleans, and they traded it to us with top 4 protections. Mm-hmm. We traded to Detroit. Detroit trades it to New York for Jalen Duren, and then New York just traded it to Brooklyn now in the McHale trade. It's still top 4 protected through all those other trades, but if that ends up in the top 4, New Orleans actually gets the pick next year. So if something happens with Milwaukee next year, Dame and Giannis, knock on wood, hopefully this doesn't happen, they get hurt, and they enter the Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey, Traore conversation. New Orleans Pelicans would get the Bucks pick, even though they traded it for a CJ a long time ago.
Yeah.
That'd be so crazy.
And of course, the Pelicans originally got that when they traded Drew Holiday to the Bucks.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It comes full circle.
It all comes full circle. Yeah, so you can always, if you get unprotected picks, like Portland has Boston's 2029, or Portland originally had Boston's 2029 unprotected, they could have went and lottery protected it and traded it to another team, or Portland kept it in the lottery or went to another team if it wasn't. So you can always word things in very weird ways regarding traded picks. Portland could sit there and say, we want the right to swap that worst of Portland, Milwaukee, Boston for the Lakers pick if we're trading them Jerami Grant. And then Portland would have the right to the best of the Lakers pick. How do I word this verbally in a way that makes it make most sense? Then Portland would have the most favorable of the Lakers pick and the worst of the three teams pick. So it'd come down between those two picks. So, and then Portland could swap that to another team if they wanted to, and then you get something that's just extremely convoluted. Doing the mock off season, we build out team sheets and list all the picks in team sheets. We have a Google sheet for every team that we run the mock off season. If you don't know what the mock off season is, we get 30 people and we each run a team and follow all CBA rules and keep track of all moves with team sheets. And it's always fun to go look through the picks and then list them with all the stipulations. But it can be a headache too because you get some wild stuff.
Yeah, Landon says, wouldn't the Bucks get it since it's protected 1 through 4 for Milwaukee, not New Orleans? No, they traded it unprotected to the Pelicans, and the Pelicans traded it to us, so the Pelicans keep it if it's 1 through 4, because that's the terms of the agreement that Cronin agreed to, which I don't know why he agreed to that, but...
Yeah, yep. Easiest way to follow along, Milwaukee traded it for any pick 1 through 30 unprotected, so New Orleans had any pick for 1 through 30, and then they traded it while protecting picks 1 to 4. So then Portland got it 5 to 30, and New Orleans kept it 1 to 4. Shop Peter, we got Peter in here with a $20 donation, but there's no message. Peter, if you meant to leave a message, feel free to leave it in chat. We'll read it off. Oh, he said, hey, my boys, another year. Let's do this. Fun off season so far. We got to move Simons and Grant and go all in on Flag. I absolutely agree on Grant, and I would like to move Simons if he can get the right offer. I just don't know about that trade market. I 1,000% agree, though, on hashtag capture the flag.
Yeah, the problem is, best case scenario, we still only have a 14% chance of capturing the flag unless another player moves up into that first pick conversation.
There's some other guys in next year's draft, though, man.
No, I know there is. Yeah.
Hugo Gonzalez. Give me Hugo Gonzalez.
What position is he?
Small forward.
Okay.
Small forward. He's do it all, high feel, smooth game, athletic.
Yeah. But, look at what happened with the Pistons the last 2 years. They had the best odds and then fell to 5 both times, which wouldn't be bad in this draft. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, it's more than likely it's a 14% chance of getting flagged if he's the number 1 pick.
Yeah, I mean, somebody has to get him, though. You might as well give yourself the best odds in the position that they're in.
Yeah,
because if you get him, or maybe Ace Bailey looks really good next year. I know some people are a little lower on him, but he could be the next PG. He has the skill set, right? You get the next PG, you get the next PG. I'm very happy with that. If you're able to add that type of player to this team, it's a total game changer. So if you're able to develop Scoot and Sharp properly, and then you're able to get a star at a small forward or power forward position, you play Avdia at the other forward, you got Klingon. I feel really good about that team moving forward, especially with a bunch of draft capital where maybe you can turn future draft capital into another star. Then you're cooking. So we just got to set ourselves up in that position.
Yeah. Also, Peter, we did talk at length about trading Anfernee and Jerami. I know you're probably busy and don't have time, but if you want more in depth on our thoughts on trading both those guys, we did talk about that a lot earlier in the show.
Yeah, like past 30 minutes, like 30 minutes ago, probably when that conversation started. No tweets. Or do we have any rumors, man? Do we have anything at all?
Well, someone said that they heard that Miami would be interested in Grant. I don't know if that's just an actual rumor or not. I don't know. I'd have a hard time seeing what the negotiations would look like between Cronin and whoever does their negotiations. I forgot the guy's name from last summer. Not Pat Riley, their GM, Aaron Gibson or something like that. I can't remember what his name is. Maybe someone in chat can help me out.
I got somebody on Twitter trying to tell me Thibault can fetch a first-round pick because he's all defense. It's like, bro, he made all defense before we traded for him, and we traded 2 seconds for him. I'd love for Thibault to be worth a first, but... Anyway. What's next, Eric? We stream Mondays, Thursdays until a trade happens? Is that where we're at?
I guess. I mean, if there's like a big NBA trade, we could talk about it, I guess. But
yeah, if there's rumors like ramping up, then we might go live before a trade is official, depending on the time of day. But at this point, I don't know, man. Portland could be done. It could have literally just been, we're trading for Avdija and drafting Klingon, and that's it. The offseason could have only taken place in one single day, which was the first round of the draft. Or they could have fireworks left in them. I'm not sure.
Landon says, could we not have gotten Josh Green for Thibault in seconds, considering Charlotte got him cheap and we already know Dallas values Matisse? So the whole thing there was Charlotte was able to take on Josh Green's contract. Because Golden State didn't want to take on salary, and Dallas has to worry about staying under the hard cap now.
But you know what, Eric?
What?
We could have done that if we weren't so close to the tax.
Well, yeah.
For all the people that you're panicking about the tax. Sorry to steal your thunder, but I had to make sure you were going there with that because,
when Tori and I talk about being in a position to take advantage of stuff like that, that's exactly what we're talking about and why it's stupid to be worried about getting under the tax instead of what Charlotte did and basically got Josh Green for free. And I'm not saying Josh Green necessarily, but any number of those players like that teams have to move, and you make it paid assets to take them, or if it's a good enough player, you get them for way cheaper than you would have ever gotten him before because you can absorb his salary. So that's why I think any rebuilding team would be smart to be in those positions. Unfortunately for the Blazers, they were not in that position. And I honestly, I mean, this might change back if they struggle or they might move pieces later on, but just because someone signed someone to an offer sheet does not mean they still would trade for a player or have value or value a player higher than they would have before. Because I mean, why would they need Thibault anymore? It's hard to make the money work.
It's just funny because I took a lot of heat for not wanting to match Thibault, and it was like, I'd rather just have the future flexibility. I'd rather not have to worry about ducking the tax. I don't think he serves a purpose on this team as we enter a rebuild. And people were like, how could you not want to match a former all-defensive player? Blah, 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 blah. If we didn't match Thibault, we would have had enough room below the tax to get Josh Green by absorbing him into our mid-level exception, which is a new rule under the CBA. You know, and that's why it kind of drives me crazy when we talk about the tax before the off season, and a big part of the conversation is like, even if you duck it, you still don't have the flexibility you should in a rebuild. And then we duck it, and people are like, "See, you panicked for nothing." And then it's like we're still not in position to capitalize on a good opportunity, like being able to absorb somebody like Josh Green. And it's like that's half the point in the first place.
And you also have to use Malcolm Brogdon as an expiring contract instead of getting anything for him.
Yep.
But no, we're the idiots.
Yep. So, anyway.
Someone asked, let me see if I can find it real quick.
Peter been doing his scouting. Sorry. I like it.
Yeah.
I like your list there,
I'm
too.
I'm impressed. I cannot find it. But someone asked why the Blazers haven't welcomed Denny yet. And that's because the Denny Avdija trade cannot be official until July 6th. Anything in the because Denny was on a poison pill contract, which means he was in his 4th year as a first-round draft pick and had signed an extension. And if he didn't sign that extension, he would be getting paid this summer right now with how much some of these players are getting paid. So luckily for us, he signed that. But because of that, it didn't really work for him to be traded to us prior because of some restrictions with contracts like that. So we have to wait till the new league year for the salaries to work out. And that doesn't become official until July 6th. So no one involved in the trade can talk about that trade until July 6th.
Yep. we had
when all these moves become official.
Yeah, we had Peter put Liam McNeely at 6, and then we have somebody that says Liam McNeely shouldn't be in the top 50. And I just want to congratulate you two on having our first 2025 draft debate. Eric, who's gonna be your next Sham Shea?
I don't know, man. It's always kind of just a random thing.
Yeah, let's wait. Let me go look at NBA Draft Room. Let me go look at somebody that's not mocked in the top 60, and yeah, we'll see here.
Taylor asked, do we have our 2025 first? We owe Chicago through 2028. This will happen every year until that conveys or something different happens. If we're in the playoffs, we give Chicago our pick. If we're not in the playoffs, we keep our pick. But until it conveys.
Oh, I found the next Salon/Chomsky that you're gonna like. Bogoljub Markovic.
All right.
6'10" from Serbia. Skilled big who can shoot the rock but needs to develop his strength.
Wait. Darn it, I do have a guy. I forgot his name. What? Oh.
He can't be a Shamshay if you forgot his name, bro.
No.
Mitar Bosnjakovic? No, it has to be a power forward center type. That kid has a little bit of flash as a skill. Somtos Cyril.
No. He could have come out this year.
Hunter Dickinson.
No.
Yeah. No, Hunter Dickinson is the type of archetype you hate. He's not draft worthy, though. Can you make it a guard this year, at least? Switch it up.
I love Rob Dillingham.
Yeah, but, I mean, everybody had him. Most people had him top 10.
I don't know about that. The rumors he's going to fall, remember?
Yeah, and a lot of people thought that was ridiculous. Me included. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to find. NBA Draft Room has like 180 players I get to the bottom. I see Jamal Mashburn Jr. Anyway. NBA did nothing on the stream. NBA, somebody poke the NBA with a stick, please. And maybe they will do something.
Does Gavoni have like a big board for 25 yet?
I don't think so. Be cool to see what it would be, though. Peter, tell him. Yeah, I think not top 50 is wild. He's gonna be probably a first-round pick next year. At the very least. Lachlan Ulbrich sounds like an Eric sleeper. Yeah, it does. Is that because Ulrich and Ulbrich rhyme?
There we go. Carter Knox.
Yeah. Place the Nugs, I don't understand that at all, and I don't really want to.
What do you say?
You know the Hawk Twa thing.
Hawk to us.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, AJ's here too. Oh no. JP Savvy, you're probably better off for it. Anyway.
There's someone with the best name ever next year. We've already talked about him.
Yeah.
Dame Sarr.
Dame Sarr, man. We'll be live again either Thursday or if there's like legitimate rumors regarding the Blazers, maybe before then. We will let you know. Tori sounds like a grumpy 60-year-old. How am I grumpy? If anything, I'm just tired. If anything, I'm just exhausted. So. Oh, grumpy because I don't want to know the Hawk Tua thing.
Maybe there's a guard named Victorious.
There is a guard named Victorious. There's some cool names in the next couple of drafts.
Maybe he'll be my guy.
No, that's my guy because my name is Victorious.
Oh, okay.
That's what Tori is short for. Who has more value, Grant or Cam? Cam Johnson? Jeremy Grant does. Or should. JP Savvy, correct. It's spelled with a dash just like that.
God. NBA Draft.net drives me crazy.
Who do they have number one right now?
Well, they have Cooper Flag, Ace Bailey. That's fine. But no, they have Ryan Dunn, Justin Edwards on here.
What?
For their 2025.
This was updated in April, though.
Yeah.
Where did they have...
That's going to go back.
Ryan Dunn, 34 to Portland. Where did they have... Who was the other one?
Justin Edwards, 38.
Yeah. Instead, he went undrafted. That's why I look at NBA Draft Room.
Yeah, I know. I was just goofing around.
Yeah. It's always a trip to look at NBA Draft.net. Do a 2025 mock draft. We wouldn't know how to, bro. I know the top of the draft a little better, a little earlier than normal, so I'll try and stay ahead. But you guys are going to have to wait until, like, November. December. Which, I don't know. November's only 4 months away, Eric. Blazer season starts in 3 months.
Well, you know, it's cool. That's the only good thing about so many players going back to school. You got your guy, Tyon Grant Foster.
I know.
Coleman
Top
Hawkins.
10 prospect, Tyon Grant Foster. Hunter Salas.
37-year-old Tyon Grant Foster coming into the league. You're gonna draft him.
Top 10, baby. That's who we're taking for next year. You didn't know?
Oh yeah. Wait, I think Tankathon. Tori, can we do Tankathon?
Wait, can we do Tankathon?
I think I saw a tweet that they updated it and did their first official sim.
And it's like standings projections.
We got like the 9th pick or something. I think I don't know. It was bad.
Yeah, we can do it. We can do a Tankathon.
Yeah, let's go.
Why not? Why not? Is this set up properly? This is not our first Tankathon of next season, okay? This is like unofficial, but it is our first of 2025.
It does not count until there's actual records, like not projected records.
Yeah. They have a 6th. They have only one Western team being worse than us, that's Utah.
Trevin says to do the mock draft screen, not the regular screen.
Why?
Just so we can see prospects and stuff.
Fine.
Trevin. I want Trevin to do this so bad. You know how he like waits till the mock off season and then he like scouts like 3 players and then ends up liking one and that's the only guy he talks about?
Yeah.
I want him to start now and just be like a draft expert next year.
Yeah,
like,
come on, Trevin, you can do it. We believe in you.
How cool would that be if Trevin was just like a draft guru?
Yeah, that'd be funny. Bro, look at these picks. OKC, Brooklyn, Dallas, Utah, Brooklyn.
Well, yeah, wasn't it between Brooklyn and OKC? I think it was like they own like 10 of the picks or something like that over the next 2 years. Or something.
Yeah, something crazy like that. That's wild. Yeah, you got Orlando, Utah. Outside of the lottery, you got 2 Orlandos, 2 Utahs, 2 OKCs, 3 Brooklyns.
Mike says Tankathon in July is nasty work. Robbie says Tankathon in July is crazy, LOL. That's why we're doing it.
Let's reveal it. Do we get screwed? Because honestly, Karma should probably screw us since we're doing this in July. But oh, look at that Clippers logo. Beautiful, beautiful. So far, it's boring. Oh, 2 Spurs picks.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. Atlanta's.
Because one of them's Atlanta's, yeah.
The drafts are going to start getting wild because you have a lot of unprotected picks coming up.
Yep.
Okay, 7 could be Portland. It's not Portland. At 6, is it Portland? It's Detroit.
Let's go.
But Detroit gets Hugo, though, so it's good for them. Portland moves up. Karma doesn't know us. 5, Washington. Okay, at 4 is Brooklyn. At 3 is your Portland Trailblazers, and we get Dylan Harper, another guard. At 2 is Charlotte, and at 1 is Utah.
Ooh.
Ace Bailey with Salon and Brandon Miller, huh? That'd be
interesting. Maybe they take edge go or something.
So who are you taking here, Eric, at 3? Let's just assume Dylan Harper's like 6'4.5" without shoes. 6'5".
I like Traore more than Harper as of right now.
I do too.
Yeah, I don't know enough about Hugo yet. I haven't done any homework on him.
If Trey Johnson was legitimately 6'6", like, he's good.
Malik, I was a little underwhelmed with him, but he is huge, and but we drafted Klingon, so maybe that's not a need.
Colin Murray Boyles is going to be the Blazers Klingon next year.
If we had traded Anfernee by now, I might just take BPA and take Traore.
Yeah.
Depending on how good Scoot is. Obviously, if Scoot's, like, awesome, I'm probably not doing that, but...
Yeah.
It depends... how big does it say Traore is?
6'3".
Yeah, it's going to measure.
I mean, I'm just taking Hugo, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know what these stats are from at all.
I don't know enough
Because
about
he's
it.
supposedly a better shooter than this. He can play, man. He can play.
Samuel says anything happened. Still asking that question. Yeah,
No, we're watching Hugo Gonzalez highlights instead.
Nice.
Top 10 plays. A fast break dunk is a top 10 play.
He just blocked that shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the Matisse Thybulle play right there?
Yeah, you gotta love the Matisse Thybulle play. Him just making a... Man, is this like a 2-game tournament? Okay, what's his number 1 play look like?
Got pretty good form.
Yeah, he can shoot. I don't really know what this percentage is from. 93% from the free throw line and 23% from 3 is confusing to me. Oh, it's because he played 5 minutes a game in 16 games. It's probably like, oh, Real Madrid. So that's EuroLeague, right?
Yeah.
like
although there's different levels of Real Madrid, so I don't know if he was on their main team or not.
Yeah. So like when he's like 17, if it was his main team, if he was 17 playing on the main team, I'm not sure, but then that would be impressive.
I mean, that's pretty rare. Like Rubio and Luca did that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
Oh, obviously Wemby too.
His shot's a little weird, but like his form's good. He has a little bit of a hunch. He just seems like high feel player though.
Of course, we've seen that, Wes. Come on.
I just like he's just a smooth ball handler. He's a good ball handler. Athletic enough. Like had some impressive mid-range stuff that we haven't seen in any of these clips. And I think should be a decent passer. If he's big enough to play the 3, which is going to be a question mark, then I like him.
So I like Jerusik.
Yeah, I just think this guy's has more burst, a little more bouncy, just a little quicker, a little better, like a shiftier. Just all the movement things are better with him.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Didn't expect to start viewing scouting tape in the middle of day 2 of free agency, but that's all we get because nothing is happening. Anthony Irwin said, well, when I said I'd do another show tonight, I figured there'd be something / anything else to talk about. Gonna take this rare opportunity to knock out early. Surely won't live to regret this decision. We'll see. But I had to put him up on this feed because Jake Fisher... Last thing he tweeted was being told the Clippers are working through options to bring Chris Dunn to Los Angeles from Utah by the way of sign and trade, which is kind of confusing. So that's the latest update, I guess, is the Clippers signed Chris Dunn and they might sign and trade for him. Anyway, Eric, anything else for this stream? It's been a fun stream.
Yeah. Y'all think Milwaukee doing anything? They signed DeLon Wright. Dame finally gets his guy.
Maybe we should trade him Delano so they can have DeLon and Delano.
I've been disappointed with Milwaukee so far. I mean, I know they're probably going to be more trade-oriented, but yeah. So far, I like what Tommy did in the mock-off season a lot more.
Yeah, well, I don't think any of those moves are available to them, unfortunately.
No, I know.
They're in a tough spot. Thanks, Trevor. Appreciate you, bro. Thank you for listening. Yeah, so we'll see if there's any rumors the next couple days. If there's legitimate rumors, we'll probably stream. Otherwise, we'll be live again on Thursday. Summer League starts when?
July 12th, I think.
Yeah, so that's in like 10, 11 days.
It feels like it's still a month away, but it's not. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so we'll try and do like live watch parties. I don't know. Have they said what times we play?
I think the schedule got released a couple days ago. Yeah.
Yeah, the schedule, but like, did they actually announce the times though?
Thought there were times on there, but yeah.
Yeah, there are. Let me see. Hold on. They don't say if times are Eastern or Western.
What was the thing that posted it?
KGW.
That's what time's the latest game? Or it just has the Blazer games?
Yeah.
I'm gonna assume it's Pacific time then if it was KGW.
Yeah, it's just something you should specify.
Yeah.
Like basic stuff. Also, MSN does not specify. Fox 12 Oregon, do they list a time zone with their times? Okay, 6 p.m. PST against the Spurs. So I'm going to assume these are all PST, Eric.
Yeah.
Saturday, July 13th, 6 p.m. PST. That's a good time, and it's a Saturday. Monday, July 15th, 5:30 p.m. PST. That's on NBA TV. So we should be able to do watch parties for both those games. Tuesday, July 16th, 5:30.
Watch party / post game show for Blazers Live, Uprise Live that night.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what we'll do. Tuesday, July 16th. So the first game, sorry, I should say the teams, is against the Spurs. So that's going to be Castle versus Klingen. Right, the teammates from last year, so that's cool. The Spurs also have... Who else do they have? Rookie-wise.
Didn't they trade all their other picks?
No. They traded 35 down to 36 with Indiana. Hold on.
Oh, they got someone cool. I forgot, though.
I'll look it up. Real quick. At 36, they got Juan Nunez. And at 48, they got Harrison Ingram.
All right.
Game 2, the Blazers play the Sixers. So that's going to be Klingen versus Dembona. And Jared McCain also for the Sixers. Game 3 is Tuesday, 5:30 p.m. I might have to skip rec for this one because it's the Washington Wizards at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time.
On what day?
Tuesday. So that, of course, is Alex Sarr, Keyshawn George,
Bub
Carrington, and they didn't draft in the second. But, I mean, that's...
we only have one rookie. Gosh darn it.
Yeah, maybe Bilal, plays. Who knows? And then... Well, we can pretend Rupert's a rookie, right?
Yeah, sure.
And then Friday, July 19th, against the Charlotte Hornets. So that is going to be T-John time.
Nice. What time was that?
That is at 8 p.m. on Friday.
Nice. Dude, I love it. I think I can make all those games. I was worried we are going to have some early games and I wouldn't be able to stream.
Yeah, no. It actually sets up perfectly. Who knows, the fifth game, the consolation game, because they don't do the tournament anymore. I miss the tournament that they used to do. It made Summer League a lot longer. But Charlotte has KJ Simpson as well, so that would be a good one.
Snaggy says, according to league sources, Utah Jazz remain willing to help facilitate Chris Dunn's departure to the Los Angeles Clippers through a sign-and trade as the Clippers continue to search for a new home for point guard Russell Westbrook, likely via a third team.
I think is Russ going to end up in Utah for a second again? That'd be funny. So Summer League should be fun. That was Tony Jones? Okay. Summer League should be fun. Summer League will start in a little under 2 weeks. Circle your calendars on the 13th, 15th, 16th, 19th. We will have live watch parties, probably for all of them, honestly. It lines up pretty well. So that'll take you guys through middle of July. The player review film stuff that I was going to do, I want to do is just like a pure film study in August. There should be more content in August. I just have not had the time to to do all the film study stuff. Work's been crazy, and then, draft crept up and wanted to get out other videos. So, it should be some good videos in August. We go year-round here, and we'll still stream in August and all that. And then as we get into September, we'll get closer to the season. Hopefully, we have a Jerami Grant trade between now and then. We'll see. We'll go live when that happens, whenever it happens, even if it's in August. Hopefully, I won't be at the beach or something. But if I take a trip somewhere and I have a hotel, I will just take my mic and my webcam if we're in that sort of situation. I learned last year from the Dame trade, that conditioned me to always be prepared.
I went to Hawaii last summer, had to bring all my stuff. Just in case.
Alex says, bro, you guys have been working like crazy. I respect the hustle. Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy to be past making graphics for draft and free agency. And next year we're reusing the same draft graphics and just building on them, so it'll be a lot easier on me. And next year, the 1 hour, 20-minute preview, I'll actually get started on that a little bit earlier. Honestly, the hope is next year I have more full-time editors, so it's a little easier to do daily stuff, because this off-season was rough, because I run a business, and that takes up some time, and got a little burnt out. A little burnt out as well, so happy to just kind of relax, and looking forward to Summer League. That should be fun to watch some actual basketball, watch Klingen, see how he does. Hopefully he doesn't get hurt in Game 1. Knock on wood. Hopefully that doesn't happen for the third year in a row, Eric.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to watch other guys with how much we focused on this draft, so.
No, Eric, there's no truth to any of that. I know you're joking.
Eric Olsen and then Eric Osland. You guys almost got the same name. Anyway, anything else? We're out of here, right?
Yeah, thank everyone for watching. Appreciate you all. Well, I kind of hope I see you guys before Thursday, but if we don't see you till Thursday, have a good couple of days, and we'll see you Thursday night. Or actually, wait, Tori, that's 4th of July. Are we?
Oh!
Do you want to do it a different night?
Maybe we just do it Wednesday?
Wednesday or Friday, yeah.
Let's just do it Wednesday. Let's just do it Wednesday. We'll stream on Wednesday, July 3rd. Yeah.
Alright.
That's easier. Wednesday, July 3rd. We'll go live 9:30 p.m. unless there's rumors or stuff happening, so maybe it'll be a little sooner. We'll let you know. Join our Discord. Please join our Discord. We're trying to get that to 1,000 members, because then we get to do some cool stuff with the Discord. Our Discord, we have game threads during the year. We have cool stuff. That's where our mock-off season takes place. We want to grow that this year. I'm going to focus more on the Discord. Maybe do some event stuff. I don't know. We'll see. But join our Discord. There's a link in the description box below. If you don't know Discord, it's just a place for Blazer fans to hang out, is what our Discord is. And then merch link below if you want merch. Second channel link below as well. And yeah, Eric, I think we're good. I think we're out of here. We'll catch you again on Wednesday, not Thursday, unless something pops up tomorrow or pops off tonight. I mean, if they do something at like 11 p.m., we'll be back. Who knows? We'll see what's next for this Blazer team, though. It might be nothing. That would be a little bit anticlimactic, but, at least they pulled off a good trade. At least it's okay off-season if they do nothing. Anyway, with that being said, we're out of here. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good rest of your night. And until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!